Thank you. Representative Martin Cowser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Looking at some of the numbers here, I was particularly looking at timber sales under state forest, and certainly that's something that's very important in my area, north central Pennsylvania, and looking at the numbers, it appears as though in the last fiscal year, $15.6 million was brought in by the department with timber sales, and you're projecting revenue in the coming year of $30.3 million.
Right.
And in an area where I'm from, that's where much of that timber is actually being cut, and we certainly depend heavily on our forest products industry. I wonder if you could speak to those estimates and give us a little more detail.
Be happy to. I'll be turning over to Dan here in a second, but I'd like to say this. I do appreciate your comment about the value of the timber industry to many parts of Pennsylvania. I am pleased to say, in the past several years of recession, our state forest lands were able to sustain communities that depended on forest products. We cut and rotate on ecological basis, therefore, we don't hold out for higher markets, whereas some of the private land may do that. So I think our state forest land timber harvest program really helped keep the mills running in Northwest PA, and I think that's I appreciate that you recognize that. To Dan and his staff, are leaders in the country in the forest planning. We've been the first sustainable forest system in the nation, and we were able to project with the best possibility of the timber revenues. I'll let Dan speak to the number and how they arrived at it and why they feel it's supportable.
Yeah, our goal in the resource plan is to cut around 14,000 acres a year. This year we met our goal, and our intention is to meet it next year as well. Although we had the authority to bring in around $15 million, we actually brought in more than that this year. We'll probably bring in close to 25 this year, and hopefully bring in about the same next year. As you know, the timber markets are somewhat depressed right now, but we are certainly putting, meeting our goals, and we have every intention to do that in the future.
Well, we certainly depend on it in north central Pennsylvania, and as you stated, private landowners are not cutting timber, but we depend on DCNR to continue cutting. So I appreciate the additional detail.